Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Outsized Returns. I'm your host, Samuel Austin Taylor. Search SAMT on all the social media channels, and I got a fantastic guest today. Now, if you've been following me or this podcast, you know that we talk about all areas of business. But today we wanted to bring, dare I call him an expert real estate wholesaler. I mean, this guy is tackling all of the Texas market and moving into other areas. So if you have a property that's distressed, that your family's been owned for, 15, 20, 30 years, this guy may come knocking on your door unannounced.
Yeah.
In all honesty, to bring, you value to kind of, maybe downsize or do some other things. So I kind of wanted to get him on the podcast to tell his story and share some ideas of how, you can kind of create wealth investing in real estate. So I have Willny Guiffarro. I hope I said it right. Yeah. All right. Awesome, man. We got Willny Guiffarro, founder and CEO of Equity of Texas, on the podcast today. So thanks for joining us, man. And I'm really excited to kind of, jam with you. Usually I send a lot of guests, a template of questions, just to kind of get them comfortable. Because I want to make sure that, as the host, that, our podcast interview is not only beneficial for the guest, but also beneficial to share the story. But I don't have to do that with you. Like I've been following your story and your journey on social media, man. So I'm excited to talk to you.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on, man. I really do.
Yeah. So tell everybody, from your point of view, what wholesaling is. I always describe wholesaling coming from a financial perspective, but real estate wholesaling is really marketing and sales, because you're trying to find properties that are off the market and provide these owners of those properties an opportunity to sell and close within the next, let's call it 15 to 30 days. But from your point of view, I want to allow you an opportunity to kind of explain what real estate wholesaling is.
100%. So real estate wholesaling is basically the act of being a middleman in a real estate transaction. And by middleman, a lot of people, they think it's being a realtor, when it's really not. Basically, we sign a purchase contract with a homeowner, and we go ahead and market that property to cash investors for a higher price. So let's say I get a property and it's worth 100, and I'm getting it for 40. I turn around. Once I sign the contract with the homeowner, I then turn around and look for a buyer, a cash buyer that wants that same property for 50. So we make that spread in between. We're making that $10,000 fee just for really finding, connecting the dots, finding the buyer and the seller.
Marketing the contract.
Exactly.
Now, why would this homeowner that has a house that you're basically selling for $40,000, why wouldn't they just put it on the market and go to a realtor and sell it for 100 themselves?
So majority of these properties that we're buying, they're in distressed conditions. So, if they were to put it on the market at 100,000, since it is worth that, they'd have to spend some serious money, actually rehabbing the property, remodeling it. And a lot of the homeowners that we're targeting right now, they're in tough situations. A lot of people are losing their homes, and they may have lost their job, so they're looking for quick cash. You could definitely get more money on the market, but you do have a risk of it sitting on the market for a while.
So you provide so you provide speed and liquidity for homeowners that are looking to get out of their homes, basically. Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So basically, we're very quick. We actually let them know that, like, hey, if you're gonna put it on the market, you're gonna have to pay. You're gonna have to fix it up, because a homeowner that's gonna buy a house for top dollar, they're gonna want a house that's in top dollar shape, right?
Right. Yep.
Unlike an investor, where I can just come in, I could make you an offer, and we could cash you out in 2 weeks. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's why a lot of homeowners rather go with somebody that's straight, that that'll just buy it outright very quick, without them having to do rehabs or risk it sitting on the market for so long. Because the longer a property sits on the market, the less desirable it'll be. A lot of other investors and homeowners are going to be like, why is it sitting on the market so long? So
Right.
so we give them a very reasonable price, a very reasonable offer where they could just quickly get out of their situation and move on with their lives. So
Gotcha. Now, how long you been doing this, and how many wholesale transactions have you had? Because from my point of view, it seems like you definitely have been doing this. Let's call it. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I think that you're still in your 20s. I'm 32, but I think you're in your lower 20s. Is that still
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. So
So
yeah,
and
I
and
started
it
doing this.
no, go ahead.
I started doing this back when back in high school. So
Okay.
I was like around 18 years old when I really started you know uh looking into this business. I'm 23 years old now. So
Okay, that's what I thought, but I
yeah.
didn't know I didn't know if you wanted to say your age or not, but that's kind of what I thought. So you 23 years old. How many wholesale transactions have you made?
As of right now, I've closed over 120.
That's a
Over
lot.
120 transactions. That's a good amount of transactions. Yeah, man, and it's been a fun ride. It's been a roller coaster, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I started doing all of this 5 years ago.
Okay.
Uh, my mother's bedroom. I just started really looking into this whole wholesaling stuff, and I took that route instead of the college route,
Yeah.
like my other friends did, and here we are, man.
So now you're working the Houston and Texas market. Is there a difference between working, the Texas market? I'm from Houston, and I would tell you that from some of the wholesalers that I know in California, it seems like it's apples to oranges just because of the higher dollar markets. And I think we were talking about this before we started. California seems to be more tenant friendly, and Texas seems to be more landlord friendly. Is that
Right.
kind of the case that you kind of run into, and why
Yeah,
is
I mean,
that?
to be honest, I think it's like you said, it's conservative.
Yeah.
These more southern conservative states, they're pro landlord, they're pro money making.
Yeah.
They're not into the whole you know uh, catering to the tenants' feelings and whatnot. Unlike
Hmm.
other states, where it's kind of tough to get a tenant, out of a property. So we tend to stay. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main reasons that I've really just been sticking to Texas. And now we're looking to move into other markets and whatnot. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it's I think, and from what I'm seeing, I got a lot of California investors. They buy all the time over here in Houston, and they tell me the same thing, man. Like, hey, I got a property with a tenant inside, and they've been in there for 12 months, and I can't even get them out.
Yeah.
Uh, and this COVID stuff hasn't been helping at all.
Yeah.
Um, and so they rather, and the returns aren't as great as it is in Texas.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, that's basically why we're sticking over here, and really looking towards these other states that are kind of similar in living expenses and
Like that, like the house is kind of the same value, like square footage wise, in other markets, is what you're saying?
yeah, I mean we're mainly targeting
Okay.
those type of markets right there. Markets where it's not too expensive. No, $200-$300 a square foot expensive.
Okay.
We're really targeting markets where there's a sustainable amount of economic growth in it.
Okay.
Um, we're right now we are in Dallas. We're over there by south of San Antonio by McAllen,
Hmm.
and some of these markets, they're not bad at all. There's a lot of movement. So it just works. It just works.
Just works that way. Gotcha. So if somebody talk to us about, kind of getting started in real estate wholesaling, what I know you have a course, and we'll definitely highlight that towards the end of the episode that kind of teaches everybody, soup to nuts, start to finish, what they need to implement in order to run a successful wholesaling operation. And what attracted me to wholesaling is this is kind of I don't want to call it a no cost entry into real estate investing, but it's a very low cost entry into real estate investing, especially if you're not trying to buy and fix and flip and do some of those things. But
Right.
talk to us a little bit about some of the systems and things that you should implement in order to make sure that your wholesale operation goes according to plan and you can kind of get the leads. Because I see a lot of people that drive for dollars, and for the longest period of time, if you go into some of the low income areas, it doesn't matter if you're in Oakland or in Houston, wherever, and you see we buy homes for cash. I honestly never knew what that was until I started real estate investing. I was like, I don't know. You don't ever see those signs in any good neighborhood. I just assumed that, people just buy, like if you needed to get out of your property, like you can call this number and they'll buy your house. But
Right.
now I understand that those guys are kind of marketing to the area, for a solution, for some of those families.
100%, man. Yeah. So basically, I guess it really depends when you're, like you said, there's a very low barrier to entry to get into the whole wholesaling realm. Like I got my first deal with $0. I didn't spend not a dollar, and I think I came out making like $3,500, literally just finding a property on Craigslist, making an offer, and finding a buyer. But I think nowadays it's a little bit tougher to find deals on the internet, on places like Zillow and Craigslist and Facebook groups like that now, because everybody and their mom is trying to do wholesaling. So so now I think as a beginner, I think what's most important is really touching base with a lot of people and really getting a good feel for what it is to be, to talk real estate and talk numbers and talk houses. So that's why I always recommend cold calling as the first marketing strategy that any new real estate investor or / wholesaler should really get into. And that's something that I teach in the course as well. It really gives you a lot of confidence because, you're constantly getting rejected. So it really builds a lot of, it builds tough skin, to be honest.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
And yeah, man. So, I would probably invest in an auto dialer, the first, if I was like just starting off, man, I would invest in the auto dialer and a solid CRM, which is a customer relations management system. So an auto dialer is basically a website where you could literally input a list and it will dial like 5-10 numbers at a time, and it will run through it and it will connect you with anybody that picks up. And that's when we sell them on, let them know that, hey, we just drove past your property. Just wanted to see if you're interested in selling.
Yeah.
And that's probably the first thing I would have done different starting off, really get an auto dialer and start cold calling to really build some type of to really build some momentum, because it's easy to, anybody can easily go and send a massive ringless voicemail blast or a text blast to a big old list. But what happens when those people start calling back and you don't even know how to talk? You don't even know how to express the message.
You can't articulate, I want to buy your house for this amount of money and some of those other things. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I always say, let's, start cold calling first, really start touching base with a lot of people and letting them know that you're interested in buying their house. And that way, once you close a few deals and whatnot, you want to move into doing other marketing strategies such as direct mail or SMS blast or ringless voicemails. You would already have that experience. You would already know what rejection feels like.
Right.
And you won't be, frozen. You won't be frozen when somebody tells you, hey, I'm interested in selling,
Or they curse you out.
Exactly. Exactly. 100%, man. So yeah, I mean, that's probably like the first few things that I would definitely invest in, that in the CRM, somewhere to keep your leads
Yeah.
stashed and keep organized. Very
Now,
organized.
do you own any property now, or do you strictly wholesaling, or do you?
Yeah. We own a few houses here in Houston.
Okay,
Uh,
got you.
and we're closing on a fourplex in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Uh, so you know, so those houses, we're really just wholesaling. Just buy them. They're nice enough. Buy them, close on it, and just put them on the market. But now
Yeah.
we're moving to a lot more rentals and getting that passive income.
Yeah. You trying to? I mean, anybody that wholesales 100 transactions is a successful wholesaler. I would put it in the not. I mean, really higher than successful. That's like all Madden. Hall of Fame worthy. I would say so. Now you're at the point where you're trying to buy and own and kind of build your real estate empire. Where you have hundreds of tenants paying you income, which is awesome.
Right.
What is the best way to kind of connect with some of these buyers that you have all over the country? And I know that you have access to hundreds of buyers that buy in any state, in any condition, and that can close 100% cash. It doesn't matter if this is $400,000 or honestly $1 million plus. What's the best way
Right.
to kind of connect with some of those guys to kind of wholesale some of these transactions going forward as you kind of expand your real estate portfolio?
So the best way to find buyers is really the internet. The internet gives
Okay.
off so much information. Like if you go on Twitter and you just start following a few of the people that I'm following, like you find a lot of buyers on there. I've sold a few deals to a lot of people off Twitter and Facebook groups, real estate Facebook groups.
Now, what
Um,
Will isn't telling you is that he has 20,000 plus followers on Twitter as well, too. Not all of us are that fortunate, right now, early in our real estate career. But go ahead.
yeah, there's a good amount of people on off Twitter but I guess that's because of the reach. But what's easier? Well, besides Twitter, because you do got to have a good audience to really find a lot of people like that. Is the bet? I think what's better is Facebook groups, real estate Facebook groups. So let's say
Okay.
you're in Ohio. If you're in Ohio, go to Facebook and type in Ohio Real Estate Investors group, and a whole list of Facebook groups is going to pop up, and you
Mm-hmm.
literally just add yourself in there and start connecting with people, and really start getting everybody's criteria and finding out what they're interested in buying. So that's one of the methods. Another method that we use is we pull a list. The same exact way that we cold call these homeowners, we cold call these buyers. So I have
Mm-hmm.
a team of virtual assistants overseas, and what they do is a good majority of them are calling homeowners, and the smaller majority is calling buyers, people that have bought in the last year,
Mm-hmm.
and we're calling them and asking, hey, I saw that you just bought a property off ABC Street. I was wondering if you're interested in buying more. So that's what the cold caller says, and as soon
Mm-hmm.
as they say yeah, they forward that over to our disposition agent, which is in house, and we try to sell them on a property that we're interested in selling. But but that's having cold callers and whatnot, and spending a good amount of money in marketing. But a free way is really just going on Facebook groups. That's really the Facebook groups and bandit signs. If you post a big old sign on the exits of freeways saying,
So you've done it all. You posting signs. You're in Facebook groups. I mean, you're
oh yeah,
posting lists. Like there's. I think a lot of times when it doesn't matter what area you're investing in, if you're trying to build a business, a lot of people don't diversify their
right,
methods. And it sounds like you're doing a little bit of everything in order to kind of be successful in regards
right,
to
right.
building that audience and also finding leads and gathering leads as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think once you got enough momentum,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to really just stick to one channel to find a client. You really do got to diversify. Like I have a checklist that our disposition agent uses, and basically it runs down every single way of finding a buyer for
Mm-hmm.
the specific property. You know, we do the whole bandit signs. We do the cold calling. You know, we find real estate agents on the MLS
Mm-hmm.
that have sold a property in the surrounding area of whatever property it is that we're selling. And we contact them and, hi, I just saw that you sold a property in this area. Is your buyer looking to buy more?
Yeah.
Yes. And so we go through a whole checklist because you know we want to make sure that the property sells. And if that checklist isn't completed, then then you know, well you know, if the checklist isn't completed, um, then we probably, you know, it's probably going to sit a little bit longer. Now, other deals, they don't sit as long. You know, we don't even have to complete the checklist because it's sold within the first marketing strategy, within the first email blast, or the
Right.
first, you know, a couple bandit signs that we put out. So, so yeah, I mean, you know, we try to, we try to implement a few different paths, you
Mm-hmm.
know, marketing strategies to bring in these leads, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Is there a minimum? Is there a minimum assignment fee that you're trying to earn? Like, is it you're trying to get, $30,000, each wholesale transaction that you make, or is it 10 grand, or is there kind of a bogey that you have, or, is contingent on the market or the neighborhood, or does it not matter?
Sometimes, sometimes we do have, properties that come in and they are asking a good price, but we're only able to sell it for $2, $3,000, make a $2, $3,000 assignment fee.
Okay.
We don't really chase those, you know. Uh, I guess because we got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
When you've got a big when you got a certain amount of volume, you literally start pushing away some type of deals because it's not even worth your time.
Yeah.
I got to pay my disposition agent. I got to pay my acquisition manager. I got to pay my transaction coordinator. I
How
got
many,
so
pe-
many people to
how many
pay.
people do you have working under you now?
I have 4 lead managers in my office, 2 acquisition managers, that's 6, a disposition manager, that's 7, and a transaction coordinator, that's 8. So I got 8 people under me.
Okay. Wow, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I want to give people a little bit more of awareness in regards to how lucrative wholesaling can be. You talked about, some of the assignment fees that are really not worth your time. And I know
Right.
you recently posted a 6-figure wholesale transaction.
Right.
Without giving us, the full details, can you talk about how that process went and how long it took for you to kind of, close that deal? And you can share the price if you feel comfortable doing so as well.
Sure, man. So that deal right there, that was an apartment building. So
Okay.
we wholesaled an apartment building out in Central Texas, and
How many units was it?
it was, how many units was this? Like 12 units.
Okay.
It was like 12 units, and we picked it up for, I believe we picked this thing up for 100,000, and it needed like a full renovation. It was like a gut job.
Okay. So
Uh,
this is a 12-unit apartment complex that you picked up for $100,000, then
100.
sold that contract for 3 something.
Nah, we sold that
Oh,
contract for like 240, 245, I think.
okay.
But we had to pay double closing,
Okay.
transaction court, trans, transactional funding fees.
Okay.
So it came out to like, I think we made like 130 and some change or something like
Okay.
that. And we did it the same way as we do any all these other deals. We
Yeah.
literally pull a list, cold call it, and make an offer. And if it's accepted, cool. If it's not, we move on to the next.
Yeah.
So that's it's no different than than doing. It's no different from doing $100,000 wholesale fee than doing a $10,000 wholesale fee.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Same exact process.
It's funny. All real estate investors say that, you know, buying a 20 unit is the same process as buying a single family home. And I've always heard that. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have $500,000 today,
Right.
to put down on this 20 unit.
Right.
And so it's funny that, you mentioned it that way, but I've heard that, basically from any type of real estate investor or owner that owns hundreds of units or has been real estate investing for 10
Right.
plus years, because everybody kind of starts small and they think small, but eventually they're like, I'm just going to own these apartment buildings because it's the same amount of work, and
Exactly.
the juice is greater than the squeeze.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
it's too
man. I
funny.
mean, yeah, no, I mean, that's what it was like, for me when I started off. Like, I would I would come across apartment leads, and I wouldn't even touch them because I thought like I had to gradually go through, these steps. I'd have to do the small houses first, and then build my way up and
Yep.
whatnot. But no, man. I mean, one can really start off just doing apartment buildings. It's especially if you have the right contacts. It's all about, you gotta know some people that are
Yeah.
buying things, because if you go out there and buy these and put these apartment buildings on a contract and you don't have an investor already lined up, it's like, you're doing in my opinion, you're really doing a disservice to the homeowner, because you're telling them that you're going to sell it, but you don't at least have some type of
You don't have
buy.
a list of buyers or anything in your network. Yeah.
You gotta have something in place.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I guess that's why a lot of people do start off with the houses, because it is easier. It is easier flipping a little uh, a house than it is flipping an apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
It takes the same amount of time, the same amount of effort, but it's kind of there's less factors, less variables when
Right.
flipping a little a two bed house.
Right.
So yeah, man. But yeah, that's apartment buildings. I think we're gonna be doing more apartment buildings now. I know this week we locked up like 10 units. We locked up 4 units yesterday in Dayton. Not in Dayton, it's in Cincinnati, and 6 units in where is it? In Progreso, Texas. So I
I
think we're
don't
gonna
even at
be
Progresso, Texas. Where is that?
yeah, that's all over the South, man. It's over there that's border town.
Okay. How
Yeah.
much is an advantage? Because this is something that we haven't talked about. How much is how much of an advantage is it that you're Spanish speaking in real estate investing? I would imagine that, I don't know, out of the 100 deals that you have, but I would imagine at least a fifth of those are accessible to you because you speak Spanish.
More
Is
like
that
50%.
50%? Okay.
More like 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. To be honest, that's probably, yeah. I mean, it's a huge advantage, because
Yeah.
when especially living in Texas, the majority of people here, they speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Majority of the people speak Spanish, and people like themselves, right?
Right.
So if I go and start speaking their language and whatnot, they feel some type of connection right there with me,
Yep.
because I'm raza. I already we're
Yeah.
we yeah, we're from the same countries and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good advantage to have, especially in cities like these.
Yeah.
Um, and that's
Progresso, Texas. They have no clue where that is. Like, so yeah, like,
yeah, man, it's something else. And
yeah,
that's one of the reasons that I'm hiring a lot of Spanish cold callers.
yeah.
Like majority, like all of my cold callers, they know Spanish. Mainly because of that same reason right there. Because
Mm-hmm.
the vast majority of people in Texas and Houston and surrounding areas, they're Hispanic.
Yeah.
So I think it's smart to really get a feel for your market and find out what is the demographic over there. Like, if there's if I'm in a spot, if I'm in an area where there's a lot of older German families,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and maybe find a cold caller that knows a little bit of German
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of English,
Yeah.
so they could bridge that gap for us, and yeah, I mean, it's one of those things.
Now, I've heard pros and cons from realtors about wholesaling. Some guys don't mind working with wholesalers. Some guys are like, they're kind of taking a piece of their pie or taking a piece of the money that they could potentially make from their
Right.
commission of buying and selling a house. What's the best way that you found to develop a relationship with real estate agents in any market, particularly Texas?
So basically, a lot of real estate agents, I wouldn't say they're against wholesaling, but
Okay.
they're not really too inclined to work with wholesalers, mainly because we're trying to get things as cheap as freaking possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get things as super cheap, and if their client is if they're asking 80 and I'm offering 40, I doubt he wants to make more commission, so obviously they're probably not going to accept my offer.
Mm-hmm.
So from a listing agent, so with listing agents, it's kind of tough to actually, convince them that, I'm going to offer 40,000 for a property that's worth 150, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so we really kind of don't work with them in that capacity of, properties on the MLS and really buying properties from them. But we do work with them as far as getting properties sold. So like I was mentioning earlier, I have our disposition manager. He's really building those relationships with the people around the area, letting them know we're a wholesale company, and really just asking them, hey, is your client interested in buying more? And we do offer commissions as well. We offer up to 6% commission
Okay.
on these transactions if they're willing to bring a buyer to the table. So we let them know that, hey, look, it's a volume game. We're going to bring you a lot of business. So it's always it's in their best interest to to work with us and bring us clients like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. They know the game. They know how investors work. So
Yep.
they probably won't sell you a property, but they'll definitely help you sell it.
Yeah.
So
What do you think is? I've talked to. Because I live in California, I got a lot of friends, that do real estate in this market, but also I would say in about 4 different markets in the area, like really close friends that I have good relationships with. What do you say is the best way to get around compliance in certain markets? Because in certain states, it's like, I don't even want to say illegal, but frowned upon to, leave, ringless voicemails and things of that nature. Like, and as some of the laws change, if you're looking at different markets for wholesaling, how do you keep track of that? Or do you kind of you know, just make calls and, if somebody's like, hey, take me off this list, then you take them off the list, like most people do,
right.
but is there a way to, I guess, stay compliant in most markets, especially as the laws change for wholesaling?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a touchy subject, mainly because the laws are changing all the time.
Yeah.
Um, so what we do is we try to stay above below the radar, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so we send out these RVMs, SMS, of course, and of course we look at to see if it's legal or not over there, or what they think of that.
Yep.
But one thing that we do, and a lot of people may like it, but we don't really we let them know that we're interested, but we don't really put our name out there.
Yeah.
We don't tell them, hey, this is Equity of Texas reaching out to you, or
Right.
we don't use we may not even use our real name
Mm-hmm.
when sending out these RVMs and text messages, mainly because the liability is so high.
Yeah.
Um, I recently had a friend that he got sued for a ringless voicemail for $21,000.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, he's up
unfortunate.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's risky for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we try to be very low key when we're doing that. But some markets we're not. I'm assuming we're not in a lot of markets, so I can't tell you everything about every single market. But
Mm-hmm.
I know some markets is like completely illegal. Like you're not able to solicit at all. And I think Kansas is one of those markets.
And most of those markets, from the friends that I've talked to, most of those markets are the markets that are not landlord friendly. It seems to be that case. I don't think I've yet to hear any story like that in Texas. That's probably why so many people are trying to move there. So nobody has those issues. But I think in some of the more liberal parts of the country, you might run into some of those problems. So that makes complete sense as well.
Yeah,
Too.
100%. Yeah, I mean, that's why we try to. That's why I mean, we do a lot more cold calling to these
Yeah.
other markets, because I mean, as long as you're as long as you're calling from like 9 to 9 Monday through, I think it's like Saturday or something like that. I think you should be right.
Yep.
I think it's always after that, after those times, after 9 to 9, is where you really run into some trouble. But I'm not a lawyer, so I think
Yeah,
everybody listening to this, you got
talk,
to do
speak to your attorney counsel, and we'll move on.
100%, man. So that's what
tell
it
us,
is.
tell us one of the, share with us one of the like horror stories that you kind of had to overcome, in this wholesale journey. I don't want to sell, that this wholesale journey is just so, unbelievable and it's a fantastic opportunity. I want to
Right.
let people know that and educate people in knowing that there are risks involved and things don't always kind of go your way or go the way that you planned or even intended. Share with us
Right.
one of those stories where somebody went behind your back and talked directly to the seller and things of that nature.
For sure. So one I guess a good story was probably like when I first started off. I I was really you know, shooting everything, throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. I would
Yep.
get so many properties under contract at such high prices, and I would literally have to back out of every single one of them. I think I put up like 15 contracts I put 15 properties under contract prior to me even closing a wholesale deal. And one of those deals was an apartment building where I found the owner for an apartment building. I think I found him. I think he was a distressed apartment building owner. He was like 70 years old, so he was done with the rental
Mm-hmm.
game.
Yep.
And what happened was I got to I really got too friendly with some of these investors, and prior to even getting it under contract, I was supposed to get it under contract, but prior to getting it under contract, I I let them know the address, and they went around me, talked to the property owner,
Mm-hmm.
and let them know directly that I was just looking to flip it, that I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't actually a real buyer. And he showed them my Facebook page, told them I'm some some kid just looking to flip the contract, and I'm not a real buyer.
Yeah.
So after the day after I told them that, the seller, I touched base with the seller, and they were like, "No, I'm just really not interested right now." After we agreed to a price, so we agreed to 400,
Yep.
and my buyer, he was interested. He was interested at 450. He was like, "Yeah, man, it sounds great. When uh, let's do it." But things happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a new kid on the block. So
What
so
would you do to prevent that today from happening?
well, first off, I probably wouldn't share details on a property prior to getting it under contract.
So don't
Uh,
tell the buyer, the end buyer, the address or anything like that.
don't tell them addresses, nut or anything
Mm-hmm.
until you get a contract, a signed contract. And even after you get a signed contract, you still have to protect yourself by filing a memorandum of contract.
Mm-hmm.
Basically a document, a legal document stating that you have equitable interest in this contract, and that's
Mm-hmm.
filed with the county clerk's office. So that
Mm-hmm.
way, when it's time to close, you have to sign off on that memorandum. You have to release it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even if my buyer was to go around me, my memorandum is still going to be on that attached to that property parcel ID.
Yep.
Um, and they would have to go back to me. They would have to come back to me and actually let me know if they would have to pay me to release the lien, basically.
Yeah.
So that's probably something I'd do different. From the jump, I would definitely start filing memorandums as soon as I get a good deal under contract. So nowadays we file memorandums on everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything that we sign, I have Yachty, or transaction coordinator, go and file a memorandum on it because we can't risk it. Some deals, like, just recently, I mean, we sold we sold a 16 unit apartment building. And, we're getting this thing for, we're getting this thing for 185,000, and we're selling it for like 330.
Mm-hmm.
And, my buyer, we signed contracts and everything is all fine and dandy, but with both ends, I signed contract with the buyer and the seller. But, my buyer told me one thing that, kind of really uh, didn't really didn't really feel so good. He was like, "Hey, I saw that. I think I know how much you got it under contract for, this and that. The title company told me all this and that." And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, no worries." So I didn't tell anything. I just automatically went and filed that memorandum.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as he told me that. And so yeah, I mean, it's
What's the process of filing a memorandum with the county clerk's office?
so basically you just got to find a memorandum of contract template. You can find one online.
Okay.
Memorandum of real estate contract, and you have to attach your contract to it. So you have to print both one document out, sign it, explain what the legal description is, and you grab the contract, and you then give it to give it to the county clerk's office, and they charge you like $26,
Mm-hmm.
and now you have a lien on the property
Okay.
that nobody could go around you now. Now somebody's gonna have to pay you in order to release that lien, and that file cannot be closed with the lien on. You
Yeah.
know that lien has to get uh removed in order for the title company to insure the insure the title.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy. I mean, I think you can do it online. If you search up your county clerks, the county name, and county clerks, the county clerk of whatever county you're in.
Right.
So yeah, it's not too hard.
Now I know you just recently started closing some transactions in the Ohio market. Is there anything that kind of attracted you besides, some of the prices of the homes to move to California? I mean, not California, to move to Cleveland, Ohio, is in regards to, instead of maybe like a Mississippi or Alabama or something like that?
To be honest, I have a mentor over there. His name is Tim Bratz, and he owns a hell of a lot of units over there. So I look at that. I look at all his friends, and they're buying great deals over there. And
Mhm.
I'm an investor myself, so I'm looking to buy apartment buildings for myself.
Right.
So that's really, it's cash flow city.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Ohio to be a cash flow city. Not a lot of appreciation in that market, but
Hmm.
it's the rate of returns are crazy over there.
Yeah.
20% is normal. 20%
Man.
cash rate is normal over there. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's just the numbers that really pulled us in.
The numbers and the mentors. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, my mentor told me all about that market, and how how lucrative it is. So we why not? I was like, man, I told my team, hey, look, man, we're going into Ohio, so you ready?
Now,
So
I mean, we've talked about, I think single family homes, apartments. I know that you do land as well too. Is there any reason that you wouldn't wholesale a condominium, or are you doing condominiums by chance?
no, we don't do any condominiums, mainly because some COAs, condominiums, no, HOAs, like the
The
community.
HOAs, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
the HOAs, sometimes they have some requirements from the
Yeah.
people that are buying in there. You got to be a certain age, or you have to own the property. You have to live in the property X amount of time prior to renting it out,
Yeah.
and then you get hit with these monthly HOA fees, and a lot of investors, they're not really looking to deal with so much stuff.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to just go buy a little tiny house and just slap somebody in it and call it a day.
Gotcha.
Um, as far as land goes, that's our bread and butter right there. We are big on land here in Houston.
Really?
Really big on land. Oh yeah, we've done a lot of land deals, and they're probably like the most easiest deals to do. I closed this week. I closed on We wholesaled a 17,000 square foot lot in Houston, and easy like all other deals. I don't have to go show it.
Yeah.
I don't have to go. I don't have to. We don't have to go let tenants know that it's going to be sold. We don't have to go. No evictions, nothing like that. So it's literally bread and butter. I just tell my buyer, hey, do you want it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
is
go on Google, check it out. That's
exactly.
exactly how it looks. And you're doing all of this virtual, just so people understand. It doesn't matter if you're near Brownsville, Texas, or wherever that city is that you said that I never heard of, Progresso or something like
Yeah.
that. It doesn't matter where you are. You're doing all this virtual wholesaling for the most part.
100%.
Yeah.
Even properties here in Houston.
Yeah.
Like, we even get properties here in Houston that we've never even seen before.
Yeah.
We don't even go to these properties. Because there's no need to. That's why we have picture runners for. If we need pictures of a big old lot or a house or something like that, we just send our picture runner to go out there, go take some pictures, or maybe go walk. Go show the property, $100, $150, call it a day. And yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's so yeah, I mean, you don't have to be in that certain market to make money in there at all. Like, I've never been to Ohio, but shit, I'm about to make money in Ohio.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Well, man, I want to just say thank you for your time. If people have questions for you, where can they find you on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you are? Like, how can they get a hold of you? And especially if they want to know more about wholesaling, in the next few days, when we release the episode, I'll make sure to put in your wholesale course as well too. Sure. Where can they find you?
So they can find me on Twitter. I go by Willny Guiffarro 1. So that's WILLNY GUIFARRO 1. And I'm super active on there. That's pretty much the only place I'm really active on. I mean, I do have Instagram and whatnot, same username, but okay. I'm really active on Twitter. I get a lot of I share a lot of content on Twitter, and I've helped a hell of a lot of people do some deals through that platform. So yeah, I also do have a course which is in my bio. So if anybody wanted to check it out, it's a super good course.
Okay. And I've purchased Will's course, super helpful in regards to wholesaling, all the systems, all the contracts, all the information that we talked about today, plus a whole heck of a lot more that, if you have any questions, I would suggest it's $150 or something like that. Like, right. Definitely worth the money.
Oh, so, yeah, very affordable.
So yeah. Well, Will, thanks again for joining Outsized Returns, man. It's nice to virtually meet you, and whenever I'm in Houston again, when these COVID restrictions kind of lift up, I definitely hope to maybe grab a beer or a drink or something like that.
For sure, 100%, man. Just let me know as soon as you hit touch down in Houston.
Yeah, absolutely. And I may need to get on your buyers list as well too, man. In the next couple of months. Sure. All right, thanks everyone for listening.
All right, man. Thanks.